All right, all right, all right. Good morning, everybody, on this August 2nd. How's everybody doing today? I haven't muted you,
Awesome.
so you can say hello. Hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. All right, hold on one second. Okay, so I've muted everybody. So, Vanessa, if you could hit *6 on your phone. Ladies and gentlemen, from the lovely state of California.
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes, yes. We have Vanessa Payne. Vanessa, welcome to the show. How are you doing this fine and glorious morning?
Oh, beautiful. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
You know what, before we get started here, because I know that you are an Apex rock star. Let's talk about, but tell them a little about yourself, how long you've been doing this, all that good stuff, please.
Okay. So I have been in the real estate industry since 1978.
Wow.
Yeah. Started out with a title company, California Land Title, in the customer service. Then from there went to Steward Title, or Guardian Title, excuse me. And then I have a background in mortgage loans. I was a processor in 1985. And then received my real estate license in the state of Indiana in 88, and then came to Prudential in 91.
Wow. That is I didn't know that you were licensed in Indiana. That's crazy.
Yeah, Indianapolis.
Wow. See,
yes,
I something about you.
And went to all the Indianapolis 500 races, and oh man, that was a blast.
I hear they're loud. Is that true? I've never been to one.
Very, very loud. Yes.
Very, very loud. Okay, awesome. So tell us, so you've been doing this a long time, and I've been licensed in '86 myself. Same with Mark. Mark, who's been licensed in '85. Excuse me. Why did I say 86? 1985. Anyway, my point is, these last few months or this last year, have you ever seen a market quite this crazy?
A little bit in Orange County after the short sales, and then Orange County went into Chapter 11 to restructure, or excuse me, Chapter 13 11 for businesses to restructure, and we were under that protection for a little while, and then once they got out of the market, just boomed. But it was for a short time. The builders were all around, and it was a hot market. I remember seeing people, as I have my clients in my car, running to the door of a house, of a listing, trying to present their offers. But this one here is a little different. The interest rates are definitely lower than then, and there's no inventory. We had inventory back then. Now we don't have inventory. And so those are the two differences. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And we had more inventory back then. Builders were building more, and the average sale price was nowhere near what it is today, too.
Correct. That is correct.
I mean, the average sale price in your market is over $1 million now. The average.
I know. Yeah.
Woo! Holy guacamole. So, all right. So let's segue right into Apex now. So as you're rocking and rolling, because I know you do. I mean, because you and I coached together for a while. I know you. You do it a little differently. You have a little niche here and there, and I understand Apex is probably one of your new ones, right?
Yes. Let me back up a little bit. Apex, I've always worked, as you know, I've always worked with investors.
Right.
90% of my business has always been fix and flip guys, ground up construction, investors. And I love investors because it's the bottom line for them. They could care less about the feel and the thrill. Their feel and thrill is just the bottom line. And they don't put no real emotion into it. And that's what I love. Either they like it or they don't. The problem with my investors were their pockets weren't deep enough. If they ran out of money because they went and got a private money loan, hard money loan, whatever you want to call it today, they ran out of money, then the project stopped. And it took longer for me to put that property back on the market, right? So it started affecting my gross income. And then when we have a slip in the market, then their structure changes altogether because the private money guys leave, or they're no longer giving them the loan to value that they need to finish their projects. It was always something. And then, Rick, after a while, my investors wanted to start cutting my commission.
Ouch.
And that's when I started really having a problem. And I kept saying, Lord, I need a bigger, a different type of investor. I love investors, but this one's not working any longer. Then came
isn't that crazy? Then came Apex. When the market gets really good, it's like everybody wants to get into your pocketbook, right? Crazy.
Because they want to make more money.
Right. Greed becomes, and that's the thing. That's the other thing about this market that's good is that it definitely has some greed in it, but nothing like 2006, 7, 8 era for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now it's the sellers.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. And, this is the first time in the history of real estate that we have a supply and demand issue right now, especially in California, right? But it's starting to happen in Arizona and Nevada as well because the builders didn't overbuild like they did every other peaks and valleys I've been in, this crazy market. They didn't overbuild. So now we have this crazy wave going on and people deciding, and the largest group of buyers ever in the history of mankind, the millennials, there's just not enough. And, you got these baby boomers downsizing, selling, downsizing, moving. So it's just a crazy time as far as supply and demand, right?
Exactly. I agree.
Okay, cool. So now, what I'm hearing you say is now when you have people, you have a listing and so forth, and instead of bringing it to an investor, you'll sell out there in the open market using Apex. Is that what you're saying, basically?
That's what I'm saying. At first, I listen to the client because I understand Apex isn't for everyone. But before I even meet with them, and once I talk to them initially and find out what they want to do, where they want to go, what their objective is, what their loan amount is, and I look up the value of the property, then I pencil out would this fit for Apex. Because I need 75% of the market value. All right. I go ahead and contact my appraiser that will also do a value check. So he backs me, double checks my math on value. So once he gives me his opinion on value, and I also give him my comps, what I see, and then we talk about it, and then I work it out. Then I meet with my client either face-to-face or on Zoom or however the communication works out. And I talk to him about Apex. Because like you said, a lot of the people are downsizing. The baby boomers are downsizing. They don't want to do any rehabs themselves. And they want the money now to go buy something now.
That's why a lot of people, or not a lot, but some people have been using, Open Door, OfferPad, and then what Apex does is allows them to actually get the money right away, but then make money on the back end after their repairs and stuff are done. That's a very unique thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and everybody loves it.
Good, I can hear it.
Yeah.
And now when you go see, it's got to be. I can hear it too. It's got to be fulfilling for you now, instead of having an investor come in and buy it, or maybe not, and obviously they're not going to offer full market, and they're not going to give any money back, and they're going to do some work, if any, and then they're going to resell the property for a profit. That's what Open Door and OfferPad does, and that's why I don't understand in a market like this, unless you need the money tomorrow, which most people don't. I mean, and even if you do need it tomorrow, I mean, Apex can do that for you for sure.
Exactly. Apex still needs 10 days, right? Because they need to do their due diligence. So now they do hire an appraiser through an AMC company to go out and just to confirm the value. Okay?
Right.
And then to go look at the property internally for them. A lot of times if I go to the house, I take pictures and send them pictures, but I'm so happy that they now use an appraiser to do that. Okay? Because then we have somebody more experienced in that field than me.
Okay. All right, good. Good. And now you people can go out and buy their downsize or side size or upside or whatever they're looking to do, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
All right, good. So tell us one of your, give us an example. I think would be great of one, because I know you've used it a few times. Give us an example of one that worked out really well.
Well, they all have, but the very first one is my best friend, Laveda. And she had a property in Garden Grove. We first was talking about putting it on the market. Now I really have to think. And was it 20? I think it was 2020. She also wanted to retire. She wanted to leave Garden Grove, California, come out here to Menifee, California. For those that don't know Menifee is close by Lake Elsinore. Okay, in Paris, off the 215, okay?
Yeah.
And so, but she had a Save Your Home California second on there. And with that program, if you sold or refinanced your house within 5 years after, I think it was 5 years after it matured. So after she made her payment, she had to wait 5 years, right, before she could do anything. So, and that was in December that year. And so I said, well, sis, you need to hold off. She didn't like that, but she didn't want to pay $22,000 back.
Right.
And so in the meantime, yes, sir, it was the penalty. Mm-hmm. So it's like a prepayment penalty, right?
Except you've already paid it off 5 years before. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Right, exactly. The government.
California.
Right. And so as we were getting closer and closer to December, she realized she also was ready to retire. And so she was really starting to press me. So here comes, and so then Mark brings Apex, to the forefront. And the timing couldn't have been any perfect than what it was. So I spoke to Fred, and then we spoke to Laveda, and she loved the idea. Because he said he would give her $90,000, so 75% of $500,000. I do believe it at that time, okay? And my numbers may be off, so or 550, because we did put it on the market, Rick. We did put it on the market back in I think October or November, knowing that we could not close until after December 4th. So I can close on the 5th or thereafter, okay?
Right.
And so he promised. He said I would give you. I said she needs at least $200,000 because she wants to do a reverse mortgage to purchase this property in Menifee. So we did the numbers. He said, okay, I could give her $216,000. When does she want it? I said, oh, no, we're going to filter that through escrow, and I'm going to just have a second escrow company hold it. So we closed in December after the maturity date.
Right.
It went to my escrow company. It was stayed there. She was pressing me, and I said, but you still can't close escrow. You can't. No, I said you cannot retire until you finish your house in Menifee, because reverse mortgage, since it was a purchase, they need to make sure you have a job, even though you're not making a mortgage payment. You still have to qualify. And and so she finally did. We closed escrow on her second leg. And when it was all said and done, and the money went from that escrow, the purchase escrow, to Fred's accounting, to his office, he balanced everything out, and she ended up making more money than initial because he had promised her that, or he can't make a promise, but he said you would get $90,000. She ended up with $106,000 or $110,000
after it was all said and done. Yeah. So just so everybody understands, that money comes out of your property at 75% of the value of the property, less any mortgages, right? Whatever that number is, to go to the next property if you're buying. Right. To go to the next property if you're buying. And then if they're to do any work or anything, that would be an additional bill, their fee, and then whatever's left, goes to the to the seller.
And my commission. So I got paid in my commission because I did, we put that house back on the market. In fact, it got overbid, right? It was actually, it sold for, I think, it was $20,000 more than what we listed. Yes.
And that's a little bit of a complicated one because there was a reverse mortgage involved as well. So that's pretty cool. So what I'm hearing is, you're talking to Fred. He's the owner, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're talking to the owner who makes these decisions, looks at everything from a case-by-case standpoint. And I think since they've been doing this, they've even came up with the cash purchase for just individual buyers too, right?
Yes. So one day, it was on a Sunday, I met with a buyer, and I knew she had a settlement coming, okay? But she really loved this condo. And I was on the 91 freeway heading from Anaheim to Yorba Linda. And I said, let me call Fred and see, because he has so many projects, so many programs. In the beginning, I was confused trying to remember what was what. So I said, Fred, I have a situation that I would like to go over with you. And he said, okay. Tell me about it. I love it when he says, tell me about it, right? So I said, I have a young lady, single mom, that is getting a settlement, but she found this house, and she wants to buy it. And so Fred said, well, when you get to the office, send me the comps. Let's really talk about it. And so I put her on, we were on a conference call. No, excuse me, I put her on speaker because she was in my office. And we talked about it. He says, okay, I'm going to buy it cash. And then after so many, months, you'll go ahead and buy it back from me. Of course, it was with an up cost because he's an investor, right? So he has to make some kind of money off of it because it's his money.
Right.
And so we went into escrow, and so we created that program for buyers to buy. He'll buy it cash and allow her to get her financing in place, and then, close escrow. Unfortunately, with that buyer, we did not close. She had some other situations, some other issues, so she had to get out. But Fred went ahead and rehabbed it because I already knew it was a hot market and it was a hot area, and he would make a profit off of it. This house needed a lot more work because the previous owner was a heavy smoker. So you can imagine the primer and everything that needed to be done to the house, right? So he made a slight profit, less than what most investors would want to make, but he did make something, and that's when we created that program for buyers.
And it's worked. So it's great. It's good to know that even when it doesn't work, he has a plan. Obviously, that's great. But for your buyers, it's incredible because they can go in and buy cash, and he charges them a very modest fee. I think it's really fair.
Yes. Yeah. He changed it since, my girl. There's two ways of doing it now. I haven't had a buyer yet to do that type of program. I normally do the listings. I normally do the Zoom Forward program. for listings, but he did change that program slightly, yeah.
Yeah.
But it still works.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible, and that's the thing. If you have people like what you did, you were smart. You had a situation, you called him, he came up with a solution, it worked, and it sounds like you've used them several times between, in the last few months.
Oh, yes. I always use Fred's my number one investor now. And so I had another situation.
Yeah.
And so this client went ahead in 2018. The reason why I know that so well, because that's the year my mom passed, and I wasn't around to help him. So he went to a private money lender, which I knew, and I wish he wouldn't have done that. He was a medical supplier. That was his business. And he lost one of his biggest accounts, okay? So now he had a hard time paying the private money investor. And one thing about these private money guys, if you default on their loan, that interest doubles.
Mm-hmm.
It doubles. It can go to 18 or whatever very fast if you go into an NOD. And so that's what happened with him. So here's 2008. So 2019, it was a balloon payment, and he said, I need to refinance. So I contacted a friend of mine and said, hey, I need you to help me find somebody to refinance him out of this private money loan. Well, he needed an 80% loan to value. All right. And it just was never high enough. The prices at that time and in 2019 was not where we are right now. Okay.
Right.
So the LTV was never high enough to pay off the increased payoff balance and everything else that he needed. So now we're in 2020, and these hard money guys wanted to default on him, and it's like you can't. They're protected. And so, let me see, I'm thinking. And so we went through 2020, and then 2021, and now this investor, his name is Rick. Rick started really pressing me because now we're in 2021. So I called Fred. I said, hey, Fred, I have a situation that I'd like to talk to you about and see if you can help. He said, tell me what it is. So I said, cool. So I started telling him. He said, okay, well, let's do the Zoom forward. We'll just do the forward program. I'm like, why didn't I think about that? So he said, but with a twist. I said, what's the twist? He said, we'll do a forward program, give me 75% of the market value. Beautiful. He said, and then we would do a lease option. I said, I don't like lease options, Fred. He said, no, we'll do a lease option. I said, why don't we do a land contract? He said, no. So we structured it as a lease option. Check this out. Rick, Fred allowed my client to stay in the house as a tenant. He can make his rent payment if he chooses to up front, or Fred's going to charge 1% on the back end for the rent payments, right? And when we go to refinance him, it will be the loan amount, the original loan amount of $4-something, plus any cost that Fred had to do through escrow when we close, and his rent payments. And he can refinance any time. He doesn't have to wait a year.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing right now. I have him with a friend to refinance him and pull him out so he can go back and own his home. But we got rid of the private money investor. He saved his equity. The 75% that Fred gave him, he has that in a second account for his down payment. How beautiful is that?
Nice.
I said, Fred, do you know what you just did? He said, right? He said, that's pretty cool, huh? I said, yes. The people that are coming out of this moratorium that are going to have some issues because we don't know what the banks are going to do for them.
Right. Right.
And so now Fred is working with Gordon, I do believe, on trying to figure out how to really structure that program to help people that are now having some issues that the bank isn't, they can't do a loan mod. Okay,
right.
They can no longer do a deferment. So something has to happen. The banks aren't going to just keep allowing you not make a mortgage payment.
Right. No, it's true.
So that was our recent scenario that we created, and it's a sweet one. I'm really happy about that one.
That's great. That's great. So the moral of the story is, ladies and gentlemen, you guys all have access. Vanessa, you've taken the bull by the horns here, and really, like you said, Fred's your number one investor. But everybody has the opportunity, obviously, if you're with the company, to talk to your manager or even talk directly to Fred and see what you can work out. Because I think some of these deals, especially with, everyone's a little different. And if somebody has a place that they want to find the place, especially, that's the number one tool I see. I want to find my place and close before I sell my house. I have equity. I can do that. That's something you should definitely talk to Apex about for sure.
Exactly. Because
and all
they're
these other
open.
Go ahead.
I was going to say they're open to any scenario. You just need to just call,
Right.
And Mark has a beautiful thing that it's free for us.
Right.
I paid what was initially $249. I made that so many times over, Rick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for the I hear what you're saying. Absolutely.
To sign up.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to sign up. That's what I mean. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Well, awesome, Vanessa. I just want to say thank you very much. Really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much for taking your time out this morning. Any final words you want to leave these wonderful people?
Yes. I'm just trying to figure out the right word. I would just like to say try them.
Okay.
Try them. Just call them, talk to them, see what they can do. Don't continue to get out of the box on traditional real estate selling or listing.
Mm-hmm.
Just get out of the box, because we finally have a tool through Apex to help us change, because the world is changing, right? And we need
Agreed.
to change with the world, and Apex is allowing us to do that.
I love it. All right, Vanessa and everybody else will be doing this again in a week. Vanessa, thank you very much for your time. Vanessa Payne.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, from California.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
My pleasure. Thank you. All right.
Thank
Talk
you.
soon, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.